Welcome back everyone, this is the tutorial on how to draw mountains. And I've got to say, out of all the drawings I do, I always seem to come back to mountains because for me, they always offer something new. All these photos here in the slideshow are available on my Facebook fan page for reference use. Be sure to check the description for that.
Alright, so I'm going to dive right into this. So you remember as you were kids when you had to draw mountains, you'd basically draw simple triangles. It might have looked something sort of like this. You had the main mountain that was in the front here, and then from this you drew another mountain behind it, then another one, and it just basically continued all the way until the mountains went into the background and there was nothing left of it, which would leave a horizon line like this and the mountain line coming down like this, and this would lead into a vanishing point where all the objects would just go into nothing and you wouldn't see any further on than this point. This concept isn't that far off from how you draw actual mountains in real life. The concept is there where the mountains recede into the background, but the only thing that's missing is the detail. So adding detail to the mountains, it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, but it's not that difficult, and I'm going to be showing you how exactly to do that. Alright, so first off, with these mountains here, they're very similar and the general shape is repeated all the way through and eventually goes out into nothing. So the first step would be to be original. You want to create something that's unique so that it'll look more real. So generally, the way I do this is I follow this general shape, but I don't make it that, like this is like an equilateral triangle here. So you want to avoid very geometric shapes. So what I like to do is, instead of going straight up, I'm going to make my edges all jagged like this, and then maybe there's a little peak here, come up a little more, and here's the top of the mountain right here, come down, a little peak right here, another one right here, just like that. And then maybe this mountain will come, after one little more peak, it will come all the way down to the ground, and then there'll be another one all the way in the background here. And just bring this one all the way down. I think I'm gonna change this line up a little bit, put a little peak in, just like this, just like that. So it's generally similar to the way this goes, but it's just this mountain's a lot larger. And if you want to still, you could erase that line a little bit and just bring up another line here, put a peak, bring it up a little more, and just finish that off, just like that. So essentially you got 3 mountains in this. Then the next thing is you want to show a little depth and 3D into this. So I start out at the peaks. I start with this one, and you just create a jagged line coming down these. And you want to, this too, you want to be really irregular. This one I'm going to create another peak with it and just bring it back down. Do similar with this. This one I'm going to have follow this line just like that, and then this one we'll have come back like this. I'm going to be pushing this peak into the background by continuing this line, and I'll do it again. And I'm going to finish all these up and I'll come right back.
Alright, so in this part of the drawing, I'm basically just taking from the peaks of the mountain and drawing irregular lines going down to the base of the mountains. This, in the next step of the drawing, will help me with the shadows and the highlights in the drawing.
Okay, now that we got these done, we just basically have all these lines that come down. And what this is going to do, it's going to set a dividing line between light and shadow. So, in this picture, I'm going to say that the light is going to be coming in this direction here. So that means any peak that's facing towards this light would be lighter than any sides that are facing away from the mountains. And the way I like to shade in my mountains is to lightly put in some lines. So I'm hatching, but I'm not cross hatching. Cross hatching would be if I put a lot of close lines this way in one direction, or I'll go up here. It would be if I put in a lot of lines going this way. That's hatching. If I go like this on that same area, that would then be cross hatching. But that's not what I want to do in this. I just want to hatch. And you want to hatch in the direction that the mountain is going. So I'll come up here again. If you have a mountain peak like this, and let's say that this is the center line, if this is the line of light, you want to follow this line and you want to put in some nice light lines like this. If this is the dark side of the mountain, you want to go in a little harder with those lines. You want to follow the movement of the mountain. So coming back down here, that's what I'm doing. And you want to put some lines on the lighter side, but you don't want to put as many. You want to keep it lighter. Same with this. You want to follow the movement of the mountain, because whatever the direction you make the lines is the direction the mountain's going to be going. So if you doing one of my mountains, mock-up mountains over here again, that's the middle line. If you, let's say this is the lighter side, if you go like this and then you shade the darker side like this, doesn't really look all that great. So you really want to be conscious of where your line placement is going, and it'll make a very big difference in your drawing. So I'm being very conscious of where my lines are going, and I'm just following them. Alright, so I'm going to go into time lapse again, and I'll be back soon.
Alright, so in this part of the drawing, it's mainly the entire shading process. And those irregular lines that I drew, heading from the peaks all the way down to the bottoms of the mountains, those are what helped me to determine where the highlights and shadows would be. It is kind of tricky to do this part. You have to imagine in your head what the mountain will look like when it's done. But also, it's pretty much with this drawing, with the way the mountains are, and the line going down in the middle of it. Anything on the right side of that line is generally the highlight, while everything to the left is shadow. Just as a side note, this whole shading process took me over 20 minutes, so it's not something that should be rushed. It should take a lot of time. You should really be careful how you do it, and so it just took me a while to really get it done. Another thing I've been doing with this is on the part that is shaded with the shadow, I go back in and with the hatching, I go into certain areas and just press the pencil really hard to put in some irregularity, I guess you could say, within the shadow. So that it doesn't all look like just one tone for the shadow. I try to break it up into different tones to try and mimic maybe some rock effects on the mountain or just some rough terrain. And that's what I do to try and mimic that. I just um, put pressure or less pressure on the pencil to try and replicate that. Also, this picture rather will be posted onto my Facebook fan page for reference use for anyone who would like to attempt to draw this and use that as a reference. So that will be on my fan page. If I get a lot of comments saying that you don't have Facebook or something like that, then I'll find another way to post it up online. But I'm sure most people nowadays have Facebook, and I'm sure that'll be an easy way to access it. And it's the easiest way for me to post stuff up, um, and things like that. So I'm just getting to the last mountain here, and this tutorial is almost done. Just got a few things left to go. I tried to put a little bit of twist on this mountain and put like a canyon sort of thing right in the middle of it. So it came out pretty cool. So this is done, and I'm gonna post the final result here in a second. And I hope that you guys really learned something from this. Leave a comment if you liked it or if you would like me to change anything up. Just basically tell me how I'm doing with this tutorial process. I would really like to hear from you. So if you did like it, I'm really happy that you're learning something. But subscribe if you really enjoy it. I enjoy posting videos, and I like to hear feedback from you. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.